Welcome to People Power in Politics. Hard talk, riveting interviews, community updates, in-depth analysis. That's People Power in Politics. We tell it to you as it is. No holds barred. You are the people, you have the power. We bring you the politics. To listen to our show, be a guest, or to advertise, visit www.pppradio.nyc. That's www.pppradio.nyc.
Deed theft is a ruthless crime that strips New Yorkers of their homes, disrupts their communities, and undermines their financial security. On July 19th, the Office of the New York Attorney General, Letitia James, announced that a new law took effect, making deed theft a crime, and expanded the AG's authority to prosecute deed theft. Joining us is our special guest, New York Attorney General, the Honorable Letitia James, to discuss the new law, its protections, and actions New Yorkers can take. Welcome. Such a pleasure to have you with us today.
Thank you so much, and good afternoon to all of your listeners.
You're very welcome. So tell us, how does the new law enacted by your office expand the definition and legal implications of deed theft in New York State?
So deed theft is a heartless, merciless crime where bad actors basically steal people's homes without their knowledge. It robs families of generational wealth. It affects the stability of communities, it just disrupts the lives of countless number of individuals. And we have seen cases of deed theft from Brooklyn all the way to Buffalo. And it's particularly heartless at a time when New Yorkers are struggling to find affordable housing. In one particular instance where an heir to a brownstone in Harlem was living in a homeless shelter. And she was heir to a brownstone in Harlem that was worth over $2 million. And she was the victim of deed theft. And we have seen this over and over and over again where individuals, primarily black and brown people, fall prey to these criminals. And in some cases, these criminals are successful in having these victims be evicted from their homes that they've lived in for a very, very long time. And now, as a result of the work of my office, along with my partners in government, particularly I want to thank State Senator Zelnor Myrie, who represents Crown Heights and East Flatbush, and Assembly Member Landon Deas, who represents Harlem. They co-sponsored the deed theft bill that went into effect on Friday, the legislation that went into effect on Friday. And as a result of it, it will establish a relationship with myself, my ability to prosecute these cases, as well as the local district attorney all throughout the state of New York. There are 62 district attorneys' offices all throughout the state of New York, and it basically allows for more time to prosecute these cases by changing the statute of limitations so that the prosecution must begin within 5 years of the theft or within 2 years after the rightful owner realizes that their deed was stolen. As I mentioned, it granted jurisdiction, lateral jurisdiction, concurrent jurisdiction with our local DAs, so that either of us can prosecute deed theft cases. And it will establish a red flag law so that individuals know that if, in fact, they are purchasing a property that, in fact, has not been the subject of a deed theft. It will stay actions where individuals are seeking to be evicted, where people go to civil court and get them evicted as a result of their criminal actions. And this is a giant step forward, and we will be doing outreach and notifying the general public with respect to this new criminal law and also a greater enforcement law on the civil side as well.
So tell us, Attorney General James, So tell us, How does the new law address the statute of limitations for prosecuting deed theft, and why is this change significant for homeowners and prosecutors?
It basically will give homeowners more time to prosecute these cases. It changes the statute of limitations, as I mentioned, to prosecute deed theft crimes so that it must begin within 5 years of the theft or within 2 years after the rightful homeowner realizes that their deed has been stolen, whichever occurs later. It's really important that individuals understand that they will have more time to protect their homes and more time for either my office, the Office of the New York State Attorney General, or the local district attorney to prosecute. In the case of Brooklyn, where we are seeing this more and more and more, it will be District Attorney Gonzalez. In the case of the Bronx, where we were also seeing it, it will be Clark. In the case of Queens, it'll be Katz. And in the case of Manhattan, it's Bragg. And in the case of Staten Island, it's District Attorney McMahon. And so it will give our offices greater tools to prosecute individuals who have been the victim of deed theft.
Okay, so how did the previous law in New York State fail to adequately address the issue of deed theft, and what changes have been made to rectify these shortcomings?
Well, previously, it was a shortened period of time with regards to the statute of limitations from 2014 to April 23. There have been over 3,000, almost 3,500 complaints of deed theft that have been filed throughout New York City, with more than 1,500 complaints in Brooklyn and about 1,000 in Queens. And as I mentioned, the legislation goes into effect. It went into effect on Friday, July 19th. And it, as I mentioned, changed the statute of limitations, so it gives individuals more time to prosecute these cases. It also gives my office, the Office of the Attorney General, and the District Attorney, a concurrent responsibility to prosecute this case. It also increases and determines that the severity of a deed theft is, it really comes down to the value of the stolen property. And previously, there was a limit on the value of one's home. But given the fact that in Brooklyn and all throughout the city of New York, these brownstones are at greater value, this will allow judges and prosecutors that, in fact, that their property is of greater value, and therefore individuals should be prosecuted for a crime for the crime of larceny, which establishes it as a felony. Again, because of the greater value of brownstones in general, not only in Brooklyn but all throughout the state of New York. In addition to that, as I mentioned, it grants our office, it gives the Office of the Attorney General criminal jurisdiction. In the past, we were sort of limited to civil authority, but now we can go into court and prosecute individuals for felonies, which is a much more serious avenue and means to seek justice for victims of deed theft in the state of New York. Again, it also will allow individuals to stay in their homes, so any eviction proceedings will be stayed, and also there will be a red flag so that if individuals seek to purchase a property that has been the subject of a deed theft, they will be notified that, in fact, the house in question is the subject of litigation.
Okay, that was my next question. I was going to ask you, what are some of the red flags that the vulnerable populations, such as the elderly and homeowners of color, who are normally the victims of deed theft, that they can look out for?
Well, let me just say that there's this criminal law that just recently went into effect, but there's also a civil law, which is non-criminal, and there's a law that's in place now to protect individuals civilly. So, under the civil law, the law makes it possible to keep New Yorkers in their homes, as I mentioned, and to stay an eviction in housing court when the rightful owner can show reasonable evidence that there is an issue with the title of the property. Again, it established is a red flag or a lis pendens. There's notification on the house in general that, in fact, it has been the subject of a deed theft investigation. It also, in civil cases, it shifts the burden of proof in civil actions. In some cases, deed theft victims sue in civil court after succeeding in criminal court in order to restore title or obtain damages. In those cases, instead of having to reprove their legitimate claim to the property, plaintiffs would be allowed to show that, in fact, they have a criminal conviction to establish a presumption that the defendant's conduct is illegal and therefore shifts the burden onto the wrongdoer. Again, for good faith purchases of property of a brownstone, in fact, they will be notified that, in fact, that there is a outstanding mortgage on the property, and that should be evidence of the fact that that there is some sort of wrongdoing involved, and therefore they should be put on notice that, in fact, the property in question is subject to deed theft. It establishes basically a rebuttable presumption that a buyer is not a good faith purchaser if the original owner's mortgage is unpaid and the buyer does not formally assume the seller's debt. That should give you some sort of idea that, in fact, some wrongdoing has occurred, and therefore you should think twice about purchasing a property, and that you cannot have the protection of being a good faith purchaser.
Okay, and finally, Attorney General James, how can New Yorkers who believe they are victims of deed theft seek assistance and report their cases to the Office of the Attorney General?
Well, we are going all around the state of New York. We're going to be doing outreach. We are reaching out to local elected officials as well. We will be working with them. We will be doing town hall meetings with regard to both the criminal aspect of this new law, as well as the changes in civil law as well. It's really critically important that individuals who may have liens against their property because they could not pay their water bills or their property taxes know that there are these lists are information, and that some people who gather this information may knock on your door. They may say, "We're here to help you." They may tell you that they can help you get refinancing. They may tell you that they can help you with a modification. They may look like you, but they might be working for someone else. They may offer you cash. It's important that individuals, again, reach out to their elected officials, reach out to the Office of Attorney General at 1-800-771-7755, or deed theft, one word, deed theft, DEED THEFT at ag.ny.gov. Reach out to our office, email our office, call our office at 1-800-771-7755. We are prepared to come out and speak to your churches, your civic associations, your mosques, your temples, your synagogues. We are prepared to reach out to organizations, come to block association meetings. We are prepared to investigate and look at any cases that you may know of. But please, please, please do not sign anything. Do not trust anyone. If you are if you are experiencing financial difficulty with respect to paying your property, please reach out to us. And if your loved one has died and their main asset is their home, please reach out to us in the event that they do not have a will. Oftentimes what happens are people do research on properties, and then they go down to the Department of Finance and they file fraudulent documents, and that's when we get involved. Oftentimes the heirs of that property are totally unaware of what is happening, and people usually call us late. Usually they call us when the marshal is at their door about to evict them. We need to know way in advance, and individuals just need to reach out to their local elected official, or again, my office, the Office of the Attorney General, so that we can assist you free, no charges. Any individual who comes up to your house, knocks on your door, and offers you assistance in exchange for money, please do not sign anything. Please do not agree to anything. Just reach out to the Office of the Attorney General, 1-800-771-7755, the Office of Letitia James. We are here to help.
All right. Thank you so much, Attorney General Letitia James, for providing us such great information about deed theft, which is, a ruthless crime in our communities.
Yes, definitely a ruthless crime. Again, primarily they prey upon Black and brown communities where your major asset is your home. You are equity rich. You got a lot of equity in your home, but you're cash poor. You can't pay the bills, can't pay the taxes, can't pay the water bill. You find yourself in trouble, and then all of a sudden someone knocks on your door smiling, saying that they can help you as long as you sign this paper. And you sign the paper thinking that you're getting refinanced, or your mortgage is being adjusted, when in fact you're signing away your deed. Please do not sign anything. Reach out to the Office of the Attorney General. We're here to serve.
Thank you.
Thank you.
People, Power, and Politics. Hard talk, riveting interviews, community updates, in-depth analysis. That's People, Power, and Politics. We tell it to you as it is. No holds barred. You are the people, you have the power. We bring you the politics. To listen to our show, be a guest, or to advertise, visit www.pppradio.nyc. That's www.pppradio.nyc.